y'all see. I've got the game winning tomorrow. Yes, I said it earlier in the week, fellas. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't on any type of drugs. I had plenty, and I don't know.
You just have to go with your gut. And I did go with my gut last week with Clemson and Georgia. I didn't say Clemson would win. I said they would lose, but it would be close, and it wasn't. But I did pick the right loser. So I'm trying to pick the right winner, and I'm picking South Carolina. I just think the Gamecocks
fooled you last week with that performance. They cannot play that way again. You hope. I just don't think they can play that poorly again.
Yeah. If they do, it's going to be a long, long season for Shane Beamer and company, and that won't be good because I don't see many teams that they'll beat with that kind of performance. Maybe Akron, and that might be about it. So they've got to improve tenfold from what we saw on Saturday. I've got no confidence after watching that offensive line that they're going to. And Lenore Snellers, with his inability to throw the football, I don't see it. Now, the defense will keep them in the game, but it may be a situation that's like Georgia and Clemson. How long can that defense hold up before finally Kentucky starts punching them in the mouth enough times that they score? I don't see a way that South Carolina, based off what I know right now, Phil, I don't see them winning tomorrow. I just don't.
I think Lenore Sellers is a much better passer than he showed, of course, and I think he'll show it. He showed it throughout high school. I think he was tense. I think he was tight. I think he was nervous last week. He'll probably be tense, tight, and nervous tomorrow. Why do I think they can win? I think that they have an excellent running back in Rocket Sanders, and I think that he showed last week that he's got special skills as a running back, and we saw that, of course, at Arkansas. He'll have to have some help, of course, but I think that offensive line is going to play better. I got to believe they got on those dudes this week, and they're going to produce a better overall effort, and I think you're going to see some holes, and I think you're going to see him run the football. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game like it usually is between these two teams, probably be a fourth-quarter game like it normally is between these two teams. So, I would pick the Gamecocks along the lines of 20-17, maybe an Alex Herrera field goal in the fourth quarter. But it'll be close. It'll be close, but they'll win it there at the very end, I think. Now, last night, we had two teams in South Carolina play. Limestone won their opener rather handily, playing up in West Virginia. They beat West Liberty. North Greenville lost at home to the defending NIAI national champions from Kaiser. You don't mess with Kaiser. So the Wolves. No, what is North Greenville now? Are they the Wolves?
They're the Trailblazers.
The Trailblazers. That's right. They have a wolf as their mascot. Yes. The Trailblazers, but they lose to Kaiser, and Kaiser will play Newberry later on in the season. As far as other games tomorrow that we haven't mentioned, Furman back home to play Charleston Southern. Both teams coming off disappointing losses for different reasons. The Paladins were hammered by Ole Miss, and Charleston Southern blew a lead against the Citadel and lost it. Wofford goes for two in a row at Richmond. Presbyterian, coming off a loss, plays at Erskine.
I can't believe
coming off a big win.
Good for Erskine to talk them into coming over and playing at Babb Stadium in Greenwood. I hope that's a rivalry that continues. But I mean, it's a Division I program stepping down to face a D2 program at their place. You don't see that all that often.
No, you don't. SC State will be at the Citadel. State lost its opener last week, playing at the Citadel. Citadel has new life after their win. Newberry hosting Valdosta State. A tough opener for Newberry. And we've got, what else tomorrow? We've got Benedict hosting Lane, I believe. I've got Lane in here twice. Double check that. Allen at Clark Atlanta in their season opener. By the way, Benedict lost its opener last week. And Anderson playing their first game ever. Anderson at home to St. Andrews. What about Bobby Lamb and the Anderson Trojans, Chris, opening up at their home place, their nice little stadium on their campus, and their first football game ever?
I hope they have a tremendous crowd. That will be a lot of fun. It's always fun, that first game. I can think back having gone through the 20th anniversary of Coastal football a couple of seasons ago. They harkened back to the first game that Coastal ever played and hosted was against Newberry back in 2003. And Coastal won the game in the final minutes, and they
tore the goalpost down and carted them down the street and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's such a big deal to kick off a program. It takes so much to be able to get it in place, first of all, and then to see it come to fruition. I'm guessing Coach Lamb will not get much sleep tonight at all. Looking forward to tomorrow. And by the way, Benedict is actually off tomorrow.
Yep.
They play Lane next week on the 14th.
I put it down here twice. That's why I was getting ready to go back and correct. So Benedict is off this week, and they'll have Lane on the 14th of the month. So that is the state schedule. Look around the SEC and the ACC. The ACC has couple of games. Well, let's start with the SEC. SEC this weekend, of course, the only league game is the South Carolina-Kentucky. At Oklahoma State, Texas at Michigan. You got McNeese at Texas A&M, Tennessee Tech at Georgia, Cal at Auburn, Middle Tennessee at Ole Miss, South Florida is at Alabama, Samford at Florida, Mississippi State at Arizona State, Houston at Oklahoma, Alcorn State at Vandy, Tennessee and NC State in Charlotte, Nicholls State at LSU, and Buffalo at Missouri. As far as the ACC, you have got a couple of games tonight in the ACC. And why is my ACC not coming up here? Let's see here. Dun, dun, dun. It's BYU playing at SMU. Still weird to call SMU an ACC team, but they are. BYU at SMU and Duke at Northwestern. And then tomorrow, Pitt at Cincinnati, Georgia Tech at Syracuse, Duquesne at Boston College, Jacksonville State at Louisville, Charlotte at North Carolina. It's Marshall at Virginia Tech, Florida A&M at Miami, Virginia at Wake Forest, Cal Poly at Stanford. We've been waiting on that one for a while. And the other games we've already mentioned. All right, let's turn our attention to the high school scene tonight around the state of South Carolina. Looks like we'll have a good night weather-wise. Coolish out there. Feels like fall. I think maybe the rain is not going to be an issue. We welcome in from the Charleston Post and Courier, the high school sports report, the man who knows all, tells all, shares all with us here on Sports Talk, best in business, known as Bib. He is, ladies and gentlemen, one David Shelton. Welcome in, David. How are you?
I'm good, but I don't know what weather report you're reading.
Uh-oh.
I agree.
What you got?
Oh, I got rain. It's raining
Down there?
Charleston, bro.
Oh, well, I don't really think about it. Once I cross I-95, I don't really think about the rest of the state. So you are getting some rain down there. I didn't know it was going to be raining down there.
Yeah, they're expecting it to rain all through the game tonight.
Where are you tonight?
I'm at Berkeley as they host Summerville.
So as we look around the state tonight, which games have caught your attention as you prepared for this week?
The one I'm at, for sure, or I wouldn't be here. I think the Daniel J.L. Mann game, doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but I think if you like points, I think that's the game you want to go to. I think J.L. Mann and Daniel both can score. And, their defenses are good, but that's not their strength. So I think that would be one. I think South Florence going to Northwestern, a rematch of the championship game 2 years ago. That'll be a pretty interesting game. That's about it. Unless you got one that you want to talk about.
Well, how about this Christ Church at Riverside game? Riverside, again, they had a great year last year. They're off to a good start this year. I know Christ Church got beat badly the other night, but how about that matchup?
Yeah, that should be a competitive game. I mean, Christ Church has not won a game yet, but we know they're going to put it all together at some point. They got too many weapons on offense to not win a game. And the Riverside is sort of a program that's been on the comeback for a couple of years. Pretty good little rivalry. Not a long-standing rivalry, but because of the proximity of the schools. I tell you, one that just jumped in my head that is a long-time rivalry that doesn't get a lot of attention is Abbeville, Batesburg, Leesville. They've been playing a long time, and they've had some Jim Dandies over the years, and Heights Stadium, well, now it's Heights Nichols Stadium, will be full to capacity. Batesburg's got a pretty good team. Abbeville is ranked number 1 in single A. So I think that will be a game of interest.
Did they name the stadium is now named after Coach Nichols while he's still coaching?
Last game, it was Heights Stadium. It's tennis box field, and last game they added Nichols Stadium, so it's Heights Nichols Stadium.
How about that? Here's one more from me for you. This should be maybe the best game of the night in the state. Westside TL Hannah, championship of Anderson.
Yeah, that's you know. I'm pretty sure. I think the stadium will be packed. You know, Westside's going to be favored. Westside's probably got the better, more complete team. But it's one of those throw the record out the window. Hannah's got that style of play that can really frustrate you. And if they get that running game going and eat that clock, it's going to be hard for Westside to score a lot. But Westside does score a lot, so it should be an entertaining game.
Mm-hmm.
David Shelton with us here tonight. He'll be back for the high school scoreboard show coming up just after 10 o'clock. David, should we read too much into Greenville earlier this season with the coaching change? And they've got Gaffney tonight. Certainly won't be easy. If they get off to a 0 and I guess it would be 3 if they lose tonight's start. Should people in Greenville be worried about the Raiders?
I don't know about worried, but, you got to look at who they lost. They lost some really good players the last 2 years. And then they lost their coach who had his system in place. So Coach Shaw is now in charge, and it's probably a new system. Obviously, a lot of new faces on the roster. This is a tough get for them to take on Gaffney. But yeah, I mean, they'll probably get it going. I don't think they'll get it going tonight, but they've been competitive. It's going to take a little bit.
We've been talking about early season rivalries. Probably should hit on if I'm not mistaken, the longest running rivalry in the state of South Carolina is Camden and Hartsville tonight. What do you think of those two teams early, and how will this one play out, do you believe?
Well, I can tell you this will be a physical, very intense game. It is the longest rivalry. The one I'm at started in 1923, and Hartsville Camden's older than that. So, but I think tonight will be a good measuring stick. It won't make a hill of beans as to what might happen in November. But it's going to be a playoff type atmosphere. It'll be packed, and two really well coached physical football teams. It ought to be a lot of fun.
So I've been informed it's raining in Columbia as well, so much for my weather forecasting skills. I'm telling you, as I was leaving the state and listening, they said there was like a 20% chance of rain in South Carolina today, 20, 30%. Not like it was a great chance of rain, so I thought you'd have a nice night for football. Is the rain going to be like really hard or just like a drizzle?
Well, right now it's very light. It's just a drizzle. It's enough to wet the ground and everything, but they're calling for the heaviest rain after midnight. So if that timetable stands, this one will be a little drizzly, but won't affect. But the hard stuff comes in early. It could get interesting.
Let me ask you real quick about the quick start at Darlington. Here's Darlington 2-0. And, I mean, quick turnaround in that program. What's happening over there?
Well, Jamie Johnson's what's happening. I mean, he's a dang good football coach, and he went over there. When he took that job, a lot of people raised their eyebrows and said, man, he was at Hannah Pamplico. So it was a move up in terms of classification and probably pay and all that, I guess. But you would think, why don't he just wait another year or two and get a bigger job? But he's parlayed this into a really competitive situation. There's still going to be some players short when they get deep into the season, but I think he's going to prove that he can coach, and it will probably open some doors for him in the future if he wishes to pursue that.
Yeah. Okay, David. Enjoy your game tonight. Seems like every time Somerville plays somebody, they're playing some kind of a rival down there. Now it's Berkeley's time. So enjoy, and we'll catch up with you tonight on the scoreboard sometime after 10.
Thanks, David.
Sounds great. See y'all.
David Shelton, High School Sports Report. Little snooty at the start. Little snooty. He didn't have to be so snooty at the start. You know,
but he's standing out in the rain, so that'll
okay.
get you snooty.
Well, I didn't know it was raining. I was told on the radio that it wasn't going to rain in South Carolina.
They're calling it an atmospheric river.
Speaking of snooty, football filibuster is up next. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Showers tonight. That'll carry into tomorrow. Our overnight low dips to 67. As for tomorrow, we awaken to more rain. It'll continue through lunchtime before starting to clear up. Our Saturday high reaches 83. While on Sunday, clouds early, then sunshine later. The high is 79. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Football season is grilling season, and Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio is South Carolina's premier source for the Big Three: Weber, Traeger, and Big Green Egg Grills. I'm Jack Oliver. Grill all your tailgate favorites to perfection with a premium gas, charcoal, or pellet grill, then top it all off with something sizzling from your griddle. For grills, griddles, patio furniture, hot tubs, and saunas, shop in store or online at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive in Columbia, and jackoliverpools.com.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Boeing's beleaguered space capsule has left the International Space Station without its crew. NASA's 2 test pilots stayed behind at the space station as the Starliner capsule undocked Friday and aimed for a touchdown in New Mexico. Its exit follows months of turmoil over its safety. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams should have returned to Earth aboard Starliner in June after a week-long mission, but their trip to the space station was marred by thruster failures and helium leaks. They'll return next year on SpaceX. President Biden will host British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for talks next week in Washington that are expected to touch on the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. Rough day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 410 points, the Nasdaq dropping 436. This is SRN News.
You hear about all these tax credits available for getting solar power for your home or your business, and yeah, they're pretty awesome. But what about your church? Yeah. What about your nonprofit? How can you benefit from tax credits if you don't pay taxes? Well, now there's a great program in place for nonprofits. Think about that. Your church still has a pretty big power bill, right? What about taking control, saving that church money every single month by using solar power from Broker Solar? Installation rebates, tremendous savings. Bet you've never even thought about it. Maybe it's time to talk about it at your church or your nonprofit. Broker Solar has all the answers. Ken and his team know every program, every opportunity for your home, your business, and yes, your nonprofit. So you can save dollars, get rebates, get government credits. Isn't it worth looking into? Online, it's brokersolar.com, or give Ken a call, 807-7417 at Broker Solar. That's 807-7417, and tell him Kev sent you.
Hey, Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200 events in 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armory Outdoor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill Road in Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. That's facebook.com/PSA Outdoor.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you interested in lowering your energy usage and saving money?
Make it quick.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers heating and cooling rebates up to $750?
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And it comes in handy if your system fails and you need a replacement.
Any restrictions?
For starters, your new equipment must be Energy Star qualified.
That's a good thing.
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
DominionEnergySC.com it is. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
Well, in this election season, across the nation, there's only one place you can come to on Friday night to find two of the great political minds of modern times in South Carolina, along with two of the great football minds of modern times in South Carolina. Two men who can not only run a government and run a judicial system, but they could also stand on the sideline and make the tough call on 3rd and 2. Of course, we can only be talking about former Governor Jim Hodges and current Attorney General Alan Wilson. Gentlemen, you stunk last week. Let's pick it up this week. Governor, how are you?
Phil, we celebrate victories in the Hodges household. So a win is a win, and I had a win over the general. So please don't hate on me.
Well, you beat him by one because he took the donut. General, you took the donut over the weekend.
I took a goose egg, and the governor, he beat me by 2, I think. I think he got
It
two
is 2.
right.
You're right. Yeah, he got 2 right.
It was 2 and 3. The governor, yeah, you did. He was 2 and 3, and I was 0 and 5, and that's the worst I've ever done. I'll tell you, the governor dug himself in a hole last week, but I dug myself a hole, and then I laid down in it, and then I pulled the dirt over myself.
In other words, you buried yourself. Well, you know what? You got plenty of time to dig out. You've been down before. We know you're a fighter, and we know that you know how to rally the troops. So time to get it going this week. We got 5 tough games to pick. Remember, we pick against the spread. This just isn't your common day picking a winner. We're picking against the spread, which makes it a little more difficult. I hope y'all had a great week and looking forward to the weekend. Let's get rolling. And, General, since you got waxed last week, we'll let you lead off. Is that good with you?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. We begin with great intersectional matchup here. SEC, still hard to believe, Texas, SEC, and Michigan. Big Ten, Michigan in the Big House. General, you know something about the Big House. Texas at Michigan in the Big House, and Michigan is getting 7 at home. General.
I'm going to go with Michigan.
Taking the 7.
Yes, sir.
Any particular reason why you like the Wolverines?
Honestly, I just think they play well at home, and I'm going to shoot you straight. I didn't really look at last week's scores, but I've always looked at their historically. They've always played really well at home, and I just think they're going to do a good job. So I'm going to go with Michigan at home. I know 7 is pretty tight order, but I think they'll do it.
All right, Governor.
I think this is a statement game for Texas. I'm going to take Texas. They just have too much offense, too much change at Michigan, too many players lost and coaches from last year. So I think Texas will beat them by at least 10.
All right. Hook 'em horns. Let's go to, one of the early surprises in the country, I would say. Georgia Tech, though, beating Florida State on a neutral site in Ireland was quite an accomplishment. Beating Georgia State, not such a big deal at home. Still, they're 2-0. They're going up to Syracuse to play in the Dome up there. The home team is getting 3, Governor.
I'm going to take Georgia Tech. I don't have strong feelings about this, but Syracuse has been pretty average at best the last couple of years, and I do think Tech has some confidence rolling into this game, so I'll take Tech.
Only thing I would say, I don't disagree. Syracuse has that transfer quarterback from Ohio State. It's kind of given them some new enthusiasm, some new life. General, what's your call?
Well, I had a lot of enthusiasm last week in my picks, and it really didn't do me a whole lot of good. I agree with the governor on this one. I'm going to go with Georgia Tech.
You want Georgia Tech. Okay. All right. Let's keep it with the general here. We go to I think this is a potentially good matchup in Charlotte. Tennessee's getting 10. I'm sorry, laying 10. NC State is getting 10 against Tennessee in Charlotte. I love the quarterback matchup here. I think Grayson McCall's got to play maybe a tick better than he did last week. And Tennessee, of course, has a terrific young quarterback with a big arm and a lot of talent on that team. General, the Vols laying 10 against the Wolfpack.
I think we're going to be hearing Rocky Top a lot during that game. It may be a close game, but I think they can cover 10. So give me Tennessee.
Give you Tennessee. Quarterback Nico looking to have a big game. Governor, what do you think? You think Grayson McCall can step up and make NC State into a national killer here if they knock off Tennessee?
I do not. I think the general's right on this. McCall's a good quarterback, but I just think Tennessee is just too strong across the board for NC State, and they'll win this one easily. So I'll take Tennessee.
Let me ask Bergie real quick because he's seen Grayson his entire career. Can he play up to the level of Iama Labia?
I think he can play well in this game. I don't know if he can play to the level of Nico. I think he's one of the outstanding quarterbacks, and I'm going to take Tennessee when we get around to our picks too, because I just think they've got too much offense for NC State. But, yeah, I mean, McCall threw for over 300 yards last week. Now, again, against Western Carolina, different style here, and be fascinated to see. Grayson's got the talent. I have no question about that. I'm just curious as to how he'll handle facing a team that is probably better across the board than his team is, and also playing in a relatively neutral site atmosphere, but with a big crowd, probably in favor of the visiting team there too. So yeah, I just think Tennessee's one of these teams, and that's why I asked Mike last night. I think Tennessee's one of these teams that's getting overlooked in the SEC this year.
All right, let's go to Appalachian State at Clemson. Governor, the Tigers stinging from that beatdown they took against Georgia last week in Atlanta. Feelings are hurt. People are mad at Dabo, probably right here around Clemson and definitely outside the state. They think he's lost it. They are laying 17 against Appalachian State, always a dangerous team. What do you think?
Well, I don't think he's lost it. I think he's still a really good coach, and I think they're a good team. But I think 17 is too many for Appalachian State. I mean, they have a long history of being a giant killer. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I think they're going to keep it, to 10 or so. So I'll take the points with Appalachian State.
Ooh. I think if Clemson only wins by 10, there's still going to be people mad. General, what do you think?
I agree with the governor on this, on everything he said, but just to put some distance between us, because I think we've disagreed on the first one, I'm going to go with Clemson, and I will justify it in addition to just trying to put another game between the governor and me, and I got to crawl out of this hole one day. I think Clemson's got to come back, and I think they're stung last week. I think they got to prove to the world that they haven't lost it, and they're just going to come out with purpose, and so I think they'll cover it.
Yeah. Okay, that takes us to the game up here in Kentucky. In the Commonwealth, I ask you this every year, Governor. Why is Kentucky and Pennsylvania and Virginia, why are they Commonwealths and South Carolina is not a Commonwealth?
And I think every year I give you the same answer. Hell if I know.
I mean,
one more time, sort of like we celebrate victories earlier, I will tell you, hell if I know.
Okay.
So there's the fourth Commonwealth. You know the fourth Commonwealth?
Massachusetts.
That's right. And I once read it on the internet, so we know it's true, but it was part of their charter. They just chose to be Commonwealths as opposed to states. I don't know if that makes a difference, but it was in their original charter.
Are you a little surprised that the Corn knew that Massachusetts was the fourth Commonwealth? I'm surprised
I'm
that I
not
knew
going to
it.
lie. I really was surprised.
I just blurted that out. Just made sense to me. You know, we had the Boston Tea Party and everything up there, so I figured probably had something to do with the war. Okay, where were we? Let's go to the Gamecocks at Kentucky. Governor, Kentucky is laying 9 against the Gamecocks. This is usually a tight game. I think this is a game that both sides every year believe that they can win, you know, because they're just kind of that way. They look at their SEC schedule and they go, yeah, we know we can beat Vanderbilt, and if you're Kentucky, we know we can beat South Carolina. For the Gamecocks, we know we can beat Vanderbilt, and we know we can beat Kentucky. What do you think this time around after what happened last week?
Well, we can't play as bad as we did on offense last week. I don't think. So I really do think we'll keep it under 10. I mean, everybody's talking about the sky falling, but the offense will play better. I think the defense will be pretty consistent in how they play. And I don't know that we'll win it, but I think we'll keep it under 10. So I'll take the Gamecocks.
You want the Gamecocks? He wants the 9. He wants the Gamecocks. General.
Oh, goodness. I went back and forth on this one. I'm going to agree with the governor on this one. I don't know that South Carolina's going to come out with a W, but I mean I think they're going to play harder, and I think they'll come out a little improved. But I don't know that they're going to win it, but I think they'll cover the 9.
So you want the Gamecocks and the points?
Yeah, I mean I think they'll keep it like the governor said under 10. I mean they might lose by a field goal, they might lose by 5 or 6, but yeah, I think they can cover the spread.
Yeah. Okay. Wouldn't be surprised. They play close games. Let's go to amendments. Give you a chance to think things over for a second. If you want to amend anything, General will give you the shot at amending here first because you're in second place in the competition. So what do you got? Anything from an amendment standpoint?
If I were going to amend anything, it might be the Clemson one, but that would just be agreeing with the governor, and so.
Yeah, we prohibit that. You cannot amend into an agreement.
Okay, well then I will continue to disagree.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to change?
No, I'm going to keep it.
You're good? All right. Governor, how about you?
Good for me. We got 2 games different, and I think that's plenty.
All right. I hope y'all have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir.
Good luck. See you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you very much. There you go, Governor Hodges and General Wilson. Anybody else surprised that I knew that Massachusetts was a Commonwealth?
I was actually surprised you knew Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky were Commonwealths. So well done.
Well, I do ask that question every year when this comes up, and he does give the same answer every year. Hell if I know.
Yeah, no, I understand.
That's why he wasn't the greatest governor in South Carolina history for nothing there, folks.
I'll roll back to your initial comments with regards to David's attitude tonight. Maybe it's because those 4 states are snooty.
I'm thinking
that
Phil only. No, wait, wrong.
Hang on.
I'm thinking Phil only knew about Massachusetts being a Commonwealth because of old friend of the program Frank Martin now being at UMass. I think he might have shared that secret with Phil.
Hey, Phil, did you know I'm up here at a Commonwealth now? All right, let's go to our break, and we'll come back and give you our picks, including Pat's. We'll update where we stand with our early competition, Sports Talk Pick'em panel, and we'll share that with you here coming up. Also, Lee Sterling, a little bit after 7 o'clock for you serious, gamblers, for you serious gamblers out there. I guess that's become such a common thing, there's no sense shying away from it. For you gamblers out there, coming up at 7:05.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. all backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is right around the corner here in the Palmetto State. As you get ready for this spring and summer, make sure your registration sticker is up to date and you have a copy of your registration card on board your boat. For more information on boat registration and answers to common questions, visit dnr.sc.gov.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has a new rolling jackpot, and trust me, our state hasn't seen anything this big before.
How big? Harbortown Lighthouse big?
Bigger.
Bigger than the Ravenel Bridge?
Even bigger.
Not bigger than Table Rock.
With this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today. Check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with a family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at scattle.org. Beef, it's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. We are back on Sports Talk Media Network, Founders Federal Football Friday nights. Phil Kornblut here in Kentucky. Chris Bergen back at the Berge Palace over in Sardis. And we have Pat Daniel at our studios in Columbia. Okay, time now for one of the most important segments of the week. That is the picks of the Palmetto Pigskin panel. And last week we had, across the board, except for a couple of guys, a pretty lousy week. Kevin Cohen, 3-2, and Teddy, I'm so sexy without my shirt, Hefner, 3-2. Everybody else 2-3 or 1-4. We did have a couple of donuts out there. Smitty ate a donut, and the big kahuna, Bobby Harton, had a donut as well. So time to bounce back. Bounce back week this week. So I'll lead us off. I'm going to go give me the Gamecocks. Don't need the points, but I want the points, but don't need the points. Give me the Gamecocks. Give me Clemson. They're going to be angry, nasty, snarly, not happy. Give me Clemson, lay the 17. Give me State. I believe in Grayson.
Wow. Okay.
I believe. Think he's very good. Let's see what he can do against these guys. Give me the 10. I'll take Georgia Tech, lay the 3 at Syracuse, and Texas. Give me Texas, and I'll lay the 7. Texas at Michigan. I'll lay the 7. Chris, what you got?
I'm going to make everybody in the state really happy because I'm going almost opposite of you all the way through. I'm going to take Kentucky. Give me I'll lay the 9. I think they win by 10 or more. I'm going to take Appalachian State. I think Clemson wins the game. I just think 17 is a whole lot to ask for a team that went into Texas A&M a couple of years ago and beat the Aggies at Kyle Field. Took North Carolina to the wire a couple of times. This is a very good football team Clemson is facing tomorrow. 17 to me is a slap in the face at Appalachian. I don't think they win, but I think it's a whole lot closer than 17. I'll take Tennessee. I just like their talent too much over NC State. I love Georgia Tech, the way they're playing, especially as physical as they are. And it's only a 3-point spread. I'll take that all day. And I love Texas's offense too. I think Texas goes in and beats Michigan at home. I think it was the governor that said it's a statement game for Texas. I agree with him. I think it's an opportunity for them to separate themselves as one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country.
All right, Pat, what you got, brother?
So first off, your game up in Kentucky, I'm with you. This series historically is always very close. So with that, I just think 9 is too much. I am going to take the Gamecocks. I think Kentucky wins. USC, the reason why this stays close is their defense. The big question mark for me is also on the defensive side of the ball, but for Kentucky, they held Southern Miss last week to only 5 yards rushing. Meanwhile, for the Gamecocks, the best part of their offense was the combined rushing ability of Sellers and Sanders. So one of those two things is going to have to give. I don't think Kentucky puts up 31 points again like they did last week against Southern Miss. I think this game's close, but I do give the edge to Kentucky, but by less than 9. Now, as for App State Clemson, I agree. That's a slap in the face. Anybody that knows the history of App State football, that is a huge number, 17. I know it's under the lights. I know Dabo Swinney typically after losses has his teams coming out ready to go, and they typically just dismantle the next team. But 17 is too much to me. I do think Clemson wins, but somewhere between 10 and 14-point victory there. NC State, Tennessee. I feel like I'm copying Chris here almost a little bit, but too much firepower for Tennessee. I think Grayson McCall keeps the Wolfpack close. I think he is able to go toe-and-toe for about a half, but similar to that Georgia-Clemson first half versus second half, I think the Vols just pull away and break that game wide open in the second half, get that Rocky Top crowd behind them. Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Georgia Tech's my dark horse to compete to potentially win the ACC. I'm very high on the Yellow Jackets this year. I don't think their start is a fluke. I do think they're able to win that game and by more than 3 points. Texas, Michigan is the one that admittedly I don't know enough about each team yet. Maybe we all don't. But Michigan, I saw a lot of funny memes last week about Michigan, in particular looking at their head coach on the sideline, very kind of deer in headlights look on his face at times. I saw a lot of jokes like, hey, where's that nerdy kid that tells us what play's coming next? Where is he? I need a little help right now. And I think that might come into play here. The firepower that the Longhorns bring is top 3, top 5 caliber offense in the country. I don't think Michigan, as good as their defense is, I don't think they're good enough to slow down the Longhorns. Give me Texas there.
All right, you got them. Josh is going with Kentucky. He's taking Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, and Texas. Elsewhere on our board, Dr. Rick Sanford, All-American, number 25, number 1 in your heart. Kentucky, Appalachian State, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Michigan. Smitty, the former slick fielding third baseman at Spartanburg Methodist. But he plays shortstop. He likes Kentucky. He likes Appalachian State. He's taking NC State. He's taking Georgia Tech. He's taking Texas. Kev Cohen, he likes Kentucky, Appalachian State, Tennessee, Syracuse, and Texas. The big kahuna is riding with the Gamecocks. He took Clemson. That tells you he's more about the money than his heart. He took Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Texas. Fran, the money coach, Halloran, likes the Gamecocks getting the points. Clemson laying the points. Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Texas. Teddy, I'm so sexy without my shirt, Hefner. Now, if you've seen Teddy, you know what I'm talking about. That's a true statement. Kentucky, Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, Michigan. Allen, the bad boy of Sports Talk Radio, Smothers. He likes the Wildcats. He likes Clemson. He's taking Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Texas. Jim Corbett, attorney for the Stars. The Gamecocks he's taking Appalachian State, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, and Texas. Big Daddy Don Williams, godfather of Sports Talk. He's taking the Wildcats. He's taking Appalachian State. He's taking Tennessee, Syracuse, and Texas. So there you go.
I wonder if any of those people who took Appalachian think they have a legitimate shot to win the game tomorrow.
Probably do. I mean, look, I know that Appalachian has some real talent. They have some real firepower, and they can score on most teams. But this is a Clemson defense. Forget what happened last week. Just wipe that out of your mind. Clemson defense is still Clemson defense. I don't think Appalachian State's going to have a good enough defense to stop even this, what has been a sputtering Clemson offense. That's why I'm leaning towards the Tigers to cover that thing.
WQXL Columbia, W264DM.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. A judge has postponed Donald Trump's sentencing in his hush money case.
Manhattan Judge Juan Merchan has delayed the sentencing until November 26th, 3 weeks after the presidential election. Sentencing had been scheduled for September 18th, 7 weeks before the election. The delay means the election will be decided without voters knowing if the Republican nominee is going to jail. Defense lawyers push for the delay, arguing that punishing the former president in the thick of his campaign would amount to election interference. Judge Merchan says he issued the delay so it won't affect the election. He's also weighing a defense request to overturn the verdict on immunity grounds. I'm Mike Hemp.
Ukraine's leader is in Germany seeking additional military aid. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met top U.S. military leaders and more than 50 partner nations in Germany to press for more weapons support, as Washington announces it will provide another $250 million in security assistance to Kyiv. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the meeting of the leaders was taking place during a dynamic moment in Ukraine's fight against Russia as it conducts its first offensive operations of the war, while facing a significant threat from Russian forces near a key hub in the Donbass. So far, Ukraine's Kursk attack has not drawn away President Vladimir Putin's focus from taking the key Ukrainian city of Pavlovsk. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Boeing's beleaguered space capsule has left the International Space Station without its crew. NASA's 2 test pilots stayed behind at the space station as the Starliner capsule undocked Friday and aimed for a touchdown in New Mexico. A rough day on Wall Street as the Dow was down by 410 points, the Nasdaq dropping 436, the S&P lower by 94. More at townhall.com.
And paid for by America First Tax Group. Attention, if you or your business is behind in filing your tax returns, or if you owe over $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS, please listen carefully. The IRS does not joke around and will not stop their collection efforts. If you're tired of the IRS letters, levies, liens, or wage garnishments and would like to get a fresh start, we can help. Due to the financial hardships in the country, the IRS is making it easier than ever to settle tax problems for more than $1,000. We can help settle your delinquent tax problems, end all collections, and may even reduce your back taxes significantly. Even if you can't afford to pay your back taxes, you can still get the help you need. We've helped thousands of taxpayers just like you, but you must call 800-319-8073 today to stop your tax problem from getting worse. The information is free and the help is real. Call 800-319-8073. That's 800-319-8073. Again, 800-319-8073.
There's a rare copy of the Constitution from the 1700s being put up for auction.
The document was found inside a filing cabinet at a property once owned by a former North Carolina governor. The copy was made after the Congress, under the Articles of Confederation, approved the new Constitution in 1787. Secretary Charles Thompson signed 2 copies for each of the 13 states and sent them away. Only 8 are known to exist. The copy is being sold September 28th by Brunk Auctions in Asheville, and it's the only known privately held copy. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Sergio Mendes, the Brazilian musician whose 1966 hit Masquineda made him a global superstar, has died after months battling the effects of long COVID. He was 83. The death Thursday of Mendes was confirmed in a statement by his family on Friday. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Showers tonight. That'll carry into tomorrow. Our overnight low dips to 67. As for tomorrow, we awaken to more rain. It'll continue through lunchtime before starting to clear up. Our Saturday high reaches 83. While on Sunday, clouds early, then sunshine later. The high is 79. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network, coming to you from Kentucky, South Carolina, Kentucky, tomorrow afternoon, 3:30. Follow our coverage on X at SportsTalkSC during the game, after the game, on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And Matt Smith will be up at Clemson tomorrow night. Same thing there as he covers the Tigers. And Chris, of course, will be on the call of Coastal Carolina, William and Mary. Follow him as well. Post-game coverage on our website. Let's now turn our attention. We've brought you the many, many opinions of rank amateurs. However, it's now the time to welcome the true professional when it comes to picking games and advice against the line, with the line, however you want to look at it. He is from ParamountSports.com, Lee Sterling, with his Sterling picks. Good evening, Lee. How are you?
I'm good. Probably better than you. Miami, was excited as a Canes fan to see them finally, maybe after 22 years, turning the corner. And you must have been had quite a week fielding calls from the angry Clemson and South Carolina fans.
They were not happy people. They were even in victory. Gamecock fans were not happy. I don't ask me why, because I think you should never look a victory. Look down your nose at a victory. I mean, you're South Carolina. You're a program that's picked at the bottom of the SEC. You should be happy with every win. But the fans wanted to see more perfection. They wanted to see a cleaner performance, and I get that. It gives you hope. But I think they're going to bounce back with a strong showing tomorrow against Kentucky.
I think that they'll play better. But there were some things I just did not like. I just didn't see the offensive line play. And that's, you can interchange some skilled players, but the offensive line play was not very good. I mean, 3.1 yards per carry against Old Dominion, allowing 4 sacks. Lenore Sellers, 10 for 23 for $114 and sacked 4 times. Not going to get the job done. Like I said, I do think they'll play better, but Kentucky's one of these teams I don't love laying more than a touchdown, but I think that they've changed some things. They used to go to a wildcat once they get up by a touchdown with 8-10 minutes to go in the game, but with this quarterback, I think they're going to try to push the ball down the field even when they have leads and distribute the ball. I think it's just tough to find a path to points here for the Gamecocks. Kentucky, I think, will slowly build a lead, force Sellers to pass, and probably create a couple turnovers here. I like Kentucky here, 27-16.
27, and barely covering then, because you've got them laying 10, so 27-16. Before we hit the others, 1-2 last week for you, so you're looking for a bounce back. Where do people go to get the information?
Yeah, so we're having a great start to the season. We are 10-2 to start the college football and NFL season. Anyone who wants to come on board, just go to the website, ParamountSports.com. You can get our Sunday plays, $55. We won 15 out of 18 weeks on those, where we went 3-2, 4-1, or 5-0. Also can get a month of our phone service. We call it September to Remember. everything through September 30th. You're going to get 9 to 12, 9 to 13 games a week, just $497. And also always check out the free pick videos. We can't go through every game, but there's a lot of great other games. So, let's say you want to see my opinion on like Nebraska, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, or Iowa State. Those videos up and available, ParamountSports.com.
Okay, let's go to another game that you've got for us. Texas and Michigan. Texas favored by 7.
Yeah, I think the public's going to play Michigan here. They're figuring, hey, we've got a team that is a home underdog of a touchdown with maybe the better defense. I'm not buying it, though. I think Texas's defense is right there with Michigan. Think that Michigan doesn't have a quarterback. I thought they should have gone with Orchie as the quarterback. Davis Warren, I understand their thinking. Maybe, just play it safe, not turn the ball over. But this kid is a game manager's manager here, and the 4 touchdown drives they had last weekend covered just 26 to 47 yards here. I think Texas is really good on the road. 7 straight non-conference road wins. I like Texas 30 to 16.
Yeah, I'm riding you, baby. I'm riding you on that one.
Yep. Okay.
All right, Clemson's mad. They're hurt. They've been they're embarrassed. They've been ripped at every corner, criticized, et cetera, et cetera. How do they respond? 17-point favorites, Appalachian State.
Yeah, I mean, how many do you? I'm not sure. I don't think I kept the stats, but what were they in the red zone? Do you remember in that game, Phil?
They didn't. I could look it up. They didn't get to the red zone all that often.
Yeah, I know. I think a couple of the drives stalled at like the 30 to 40-yard line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was the problem here. Just need to be a little bit crisper, a little sharper. I though don't think that this is one of the better App State teams. So I think the focus will be there. I still don't think they're a high scorer, but I just think they have better athletes here. I don't think App State's deep enough and probably wear them down late third, early fourth, and might be a 10 to 14-point game. Then they pour it on, maybe get a takeaway. Special teams need to be a little bit better also. I like Clemson. I think they win and they bounce back here. I like them here, 38-14.
Oh, bad news for you is that we kind of agree on those two games, so I don't know if that's good or bad from your perspective.
We're hot.
Well,
So,
I only got one right last week, so I don't know about being hot. So
you're on the right side, Phil.
Yeah, on your side. If I'm on your side, I feel good about it. I feel very confident. You're giving me some confidence. All right, your game of the week, Tennessee, NC State.
Yep, first 5 callers. They call 800-400-9741. We are going to give them the game for free. 800-400-9741. First 5 callers. Give them that game on me. And like I said, check out the website. I think we're poised for another big weekend, ParamountSports.com.
Lee, thank you so much, man. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
You too. Take care, Phil.
All right, take care. All right, well, there you go. I got a pro agreeing with me. What you got to say about that, Mr. Bergen?
Yeah, he went 1-2 last week, right? Isn't that what he said?
Well, with our picks. With our picks. You heard him say overall he was much better. I think, in fact,
Yeah,
I
said
think
10 and 2.
losses,
I found that
two
fascinating.
losses were with us, yeah.
The ones he gave us, yeah.
Yeah.
And to answer his question, Clemson was 1 for 2 inside the red zone last week.
Yeah, they didn't get there very much. So,
No.
by the way, nobody laughed at my joke with the General. Did you catch my joke when I said about Texas playing Michigan in the Big House? And I said, yeah, General, you know a thing or two about the Big House.
Yes.
I was kind of
think that went
expecting
over his head.
a little bit of a chuckle there because, I mean, not that he's been in the Big House as a resident, but he's put people in the Big House.
He knows where it is.
Yes.
And where to deposit folks.
When he didn't laugh, I kind of had a sick feeling in my stomach there that he didn't particularly like that joke. But anyway, I do a lot of that. Let's get to recruiting, shall we, Pat? Pat, I know you've missed listening to recruiting in your ear. I know you keep up with it away from us, but
I'm craving gravy already, Phil.
There you go. We're going to turn it over to you, big boy. Time for the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk. It is brought to you by Seawells. And, Pat, you know what today was at Seawells?
RBF, shout out Andy, little roast beef Friday. Looks like they also had wings, they had flounder. Not sure what'll be coming Monday, but I'm sure it'll be delicious.
Yeah, well, they're not open on Monday any longer for the buffet, so make your plans for Tuesday onward, unless they have some kind of a special event. But you're right, it was a roast beef Friday. Hope you got a chance to get by there. And, of course, they'll be back at it next week with the fall season here upon us. Great time for special events, and Seawells will handle your catering expertly. 803-771-7385 and online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. But, Pat, we got to have you talk about the gravy just one more time while you're with us tonight. What is it about the gravy on a roast beef Friday?
So to me, it doesn't matter if it's roast beef. It doesn't matter if it's country fried steak, chicken fingers, spaghetti. Yes, I said that. Slather it with gravy, put it all on there. I don't know this to be completely true, but I feel like before I started talking about gravy on the show, they used to just have a little bowl of gravy at the end of the buffet.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. Now they got two big old, the same size containers that have your green beans, your mashed potatoes, all that. They got two of those full of gravy. Not saying it was me, but I'm not saying it wasn't me. Just saying.
Tub o' gravy.
Tub o' gravy. KFC ain't got nothing on Seawell's gravy.
By the way, speaking of KFC, you know, when you're right up here on 75, you go right past Corbin, Kentucky, which is the home of the original KFC. And you can actually go to the original KFC. Yeah, they have the original KFC where Colonel Harlan Sanders, I think is the name, right? Started everything in a little kitchen. But not mistaken, isn't that also the home of Frank Selvey, Corbin, Kentucky? Why am I thinking there was a connection there, Frank Selvey, Corbin, Kentucky? I know he's from Kentucky. We have to look that up. Look that up while I do recruiting. All right, here we go, recruiting-wise. Haven't done this probably ever. The Clemson women's basketball team gained a commitment for the 2025 class. When I say this, I mean leading off with Clemson women's basketball. Maybe they're going to become relevant because this is a good player, according to accounts. 6'2" Holland Harris of Orlando. Earlier this year, she had a top 6 of Arizona, Tennessee, Florida, Stanford, Southern Cal, and Miami. She later opened things up more, and Clemson and Alabama were two others who became more involved, and obviously the Tigers won out. 6'3" Zach Foster of Atlanta making an official visit to Clemson this weekend, made an official visit to Virginia Tech last weekend. He also has offers from Cincinnati, Mississippi State, Furman, Georgia, Georgia Tech, West Virginia, South Florida. Football, Clemson offered offensive lineman Nelson McGuire, 6'5", 290, Midlothian, Texas. He camped at Clemson this summer. The Tigers didn't offer then. They appeared to have moved on from him, but their interest in him has since been rekindled. And McGuire, who was once committed to Minnesota, he took official visits this summer, Minnesota, Kansas State, Arkansas, Texas Tech, and it appeared at one point he would commit to the Red Raiders, but he remains uncommitted now. He's also picked up offers this week from Vanderbilt and Auburn. He also has offers from Florida, Ole Miss, SMU, Houston, and Baylor. Clemson offered 2026 defensive end Cameron Brooks of Thomasville, Georgia, 6'3", 240. USC had previously offered. Also Missouri, Louisville, Southern Cal, NC State, Florida, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Auburn, Florida State, Texas A&M, Colorado, Kansas, Miami, Texas, Michigan, Ohio State, West Virginia, and Memphis. Clemson home game attracting some prospects on a Saturday night, including 2026 running back Jalen McGill of Mountain View, 2026 defensive tackle Bryce Perry Wright of Buford, Georgia. McGill was at the Clemson-Georgia game last week as a guest of Georgia. Perry Wright was at the game last week as a guest of Clemson. 27 quarterback Mason Holtzclaw, Arden, North Carolina, formerly of Wren. 26 offensive tackle Darius Gray of Richmond plans to visit USC a week from Saturday. And 2027 quarterback Trent Seaborn of Alabaster, Alabama, who has an offer from USC and interest from Clemson, was offered by Miami. All right, there you go with Recruiting Report tonight here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. Okay, after the break.
And Pat tells us that Frank Selvey was from Corbin, Kentucky.
Well, There you go.
Yeah, good call, Phil.
Thank you very much. I might stop by that KFC on the way back Sunday. Get myself a little three-piece with mashed potatoes and gravy, Pat. Extra gravy in your honor. And I'll do it with the original recipe, too. Yeah, KFC original recipe is still hard to beat. Still hard to beat. All right, we'll hit the break. Jeff Owens, NASCAR, coming up.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's CORBETT. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there's plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of Co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leader's call, the pack is moving past. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these W's say. Boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys! Let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, the throttle's open wide. Love it when they're making lots and lots of noise.
Can't wait to hear DW say, let's hear it, boys.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. In the playoffs, in hot Atlanta.
Let's
At
go
a racetrack,
racing, boys.
Which is really 60 miles outside of Atlanta, but they call it Atlanta Motor Speedways. We welcome in our man with the plan on NASCAR, Jeff Owens. Before we talk about Atlanta Motor Speedway and the first race of the playoffs, let's flash back to Darlington and great finish, a lot of drama lot of things leading up to that close finish and a lot of movement there, the bottom line of the 16 trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, Phil, great race. Exactly what you wanted to see out of Darlington.
All right, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Chris, did you hear what he said?
Come on, Jeff. It was not a great race. It was a great finish. The second stage you could have eliminated, and it wouldn't have changed the thing.
Chris believes they've got to be 4 wide for 250 laps. They've got to be running 4 wide, nose to nose.
Yeah, well, you'll see that this weekend, but you know that's not Darlington. That's just not. It's going to get spread out, and it's going to get a little single file for a while because that's just the type of race it is. But you know, I thought that Darlington delivered in the end. You had some action, you had some drama with some wrecks, you had some compelling drama there with the playoff guys, you know, right, battling around to get in at the cutoff line. And then in the end, it didn't matter anyway because Chase Briscoe came up with he ran just a tremendous race. You know, a tremendous story for the second week in a row with an upset victory. But, you know, unlike Harris Burton's, you know, Daytona, things happen. And you could say that the circumstances led to that victory by Harris Burton. You can't say that about this one. Chase Briscoe went out and won that race. You know, he flat out raced Kyle Larson all night, beat him at the end to get the lead, and then he holds off Kyle Busch to win it. So just a tremendous win by him. Great story. And I thought that closed out the regular season really, really well. And now we kick off the playoffs with Atlanta, and it should be another exciting race.
You think that pass that he made, I mean, there's moments in NASCAR history we talk about the pass in the grass and other great moves that more famous drivers had made. If Dale Earnhardt is around and he makes that move to win Darlington like that, of course, he'd be 70-something years old. But you know what I mean, just using him as an example. If somebody of that nature, of that magnitude, that persona makes that same move, does the world go crazy? It's one of the greatest moves ever to dive down low and pass how many cars? 2-3 cars to take the lead?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, Phil. I think you're right. I think we would be talking about that had it been a bigger name who made that move. But, you know, even if it would have been Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson, I think we'd be talking a little bit more about that. But it was a tremendous move, no question about it. A great race. And, hey, look, Chase Briscoe is a guy that I think people need to get familiar with because, as we know, his team, this is what made that win so incredible, is his team's going away at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. But he signed a deal to go to Joe Gibbs Racing next year, and he's going to replace Martin Truex Jr. in that number 19 car. And this is a guy who's got a lot of talent. You know, he won a lot of races in the Xfinity Series. And he's going to be a guy to be reckoned with, I think, over the next several years. So that may have been just the start of something for him right there.
Jeff Owens in the fast lane here talking NASCAR with us tonight on Sports Talk. Jeff, I had a listener, a big NASCAR fan, ask me earlier this week, and the only person that I thought could answer this would be you. The past 2 weeks at Daytona, as you mentioned, with Harrison Burton, and then this past weekend at Darlington with Chase Briscoe, you had 2 drivers who broke 90-plus race winless streaks in consecutive weeks. Can you ever remember that happening in NASCAR?
I cannot. I cannot remember that happening. There has certainly, you know, if it has happened, I would say it probably happened at the beginning of a season somewhere, because throughout history we've seen a lot of upsets in the Daytona 500, and guys win their first race there. I think back to Sterling Marlin and Michael Waltrip, and it's happened a bunch at Daytona. And then, you know, you'd have to go back and see if we had somebody do that to win the second race of the season. The only time I can think, and I don't know that happened, but, you know, Michael Waltrip won the Daytona 500 in 2001, unfortunately in the race where Dale Earnhardt got killed. And then a week later, Steve Park wins at Rockingham. I don't think that was Steve Park's first victory, but it might have been. But, yeah, very rare. You don't see that very much. And, again, you know, we talked about this last week. That's kind of the way the sport is right now. Anybody at any time can rise up and win a race nowadays. And so it doesn't surprise me all that much now. And wouldn't be surprised if we see it again down the road somewhere.
Now, Chase Briscoe, as you pointed out, I'm like you. I think Harrison Burton probably doesn't make it to round 2 of the playoffs, but Chase Briscoe is a guy, now that he's gotten a win, can he go to Atlanta and contend? I mean, is this a guy who could maybe stay around in the playoffs a couple of rounds?
He could. He has certainly got the talent. I think he is a guy who has been held back a few years by the struggles of Stuart Haas Racing. This team now has like momentum and confidence and a chip on their shoulder because they're all losing their jobs. That's what made it so emotional last week. Everybody in that organization has got to find a new job for next year. So it's a weird scenario, and it can raise some confidence and momentum, and who knows? I do think he could hang around a round or so.
Got a winner? First playoff race real quick?
We had the closest race in finish in history down there last time.
Hurry.
Let's go Tyler Reddick. I told you him last week.
You got him.
I think he can pull it
Tyler
off.
Reddick. We got to hit the break. Be right back.
Possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Showers tonight. That'll carry into tomorrow. Our overnight low dips to 67. As for tomorrow, we awaken to more rain. It'll continue through lunchtime before starting to clear up. Our Saturday high reaches 83, while on Sunday, clouds early, then sunshine later. The high is 79. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
Ramsey here. You want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a judge has agreed to postpone Donald Trump's sentencing in his hush money case until after the November election. Judge Juan Merchan's decision Friday grants hard-won reprieve as he navigates the aftermath of his criminal conviction and the home stretch of his presidential campaign. Merchan delayed Trump's sentencing until November 26th. That's several weeks after the final votes are cast in the presidential election. Investigators say the pilots of a Brazilian passenger plane that crashed last month, killing all 62 people aboard, reported failure in the system to remove ice from the plane. They were careful to avoid saying this was the cause of the accident and stressed there was more work to be done. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 410 points. More details at srnnews.com.
I sure like to brag about good local businesses. Frank Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is a great local biz. Josh and his team stress customer service as their top priority. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning came out to my house. I had a toilet that wasn't working right, a garbage disposal that died. They came out right on time, told me everything they were going to do, and explained the price of each repair before even bringing in the tools. I knew exactly what I was getting and exactly what it would cost. Their prices are fair. Their team is courteous and professional. Plus, they did a great job fixing what needed fixing in my home. I am very careful about making any recommendations, and I'm thrilled and confident to suggest you call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning for any plumbing needs. If it's a repair or to replace something, if it's that tankless water heater that you've always wanted to give you that endless hot water and save you some money. They unclog drain and sewer lines and so much more. Online, you'll find them at SC.com, or just give Josh and those great folks a phone call, 799-2222. That's 799-2222, and tell them you heard about them from here at The Point.
Tradition and quality. That's what you get with H&J Cattle Company, where local third-generation farmers ensure you receive the finest beef in South Carolina. Our registered Hereford and Wagyu cattle are raised with sustainable practices, with outgrowth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. Taste the difference with the highest quality beef guaranteed. Order now at hnjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at hnjcattle.co. Again, hnjcattle.co, where ethics meets quality.
Wake up with a smile every morning. It's Mornings with Casey and Kev, your dynamic bringing you laughter, news, and the perfect start to your day. Join the fun weekdays at 7 a.m. Mornings with Casey and Kev, a delightful way to start your day.
Hi, we're Glenn and Melanie Matthews, your neighborhood partners from Modern Exterminating. Since 1955, we've shielded your homes from unwanted guests.
Corporate giants, door knockers, startups.
No competition for our 3 generations of trust and expertise in pest control.
Choose local, choose family, choose peace of mind.
Experience the Modern Exterminating difference. Call 803-765-2315 or visit pestfreesc.com today.
We are Modern Exterminating. It's your home and it's our mission.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with the Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used the Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with the Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
4. Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day.
Well, after the fast-paced 90 minutes of sports talk, talking about football, talking about NASCAR, kind of kick back, put our feet up, relax, sip on a cold one, think about the great game of golf around the state of South Carolina. Not that there's not a lot of excitement and energy and action in the game of golf, but I kind of like to throw the hair back here and just think about a great day walking the links. And who has the opportunity to do that every day? Who has a great day on the links every day? None other than George Bryan III. George, brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports. Welcome in to Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps once again on Sports Talk.
Well, what a privilege. And, yeah, this is my favorite time of the year. I did run into at least 2 other, I'll say, very happy players in the last week that celebrate football season as I do. Mm-hmm. We had the golf course to ourselves, and they were absolutely on track, on par. Never met these individuals. I didn't get permission to use their name, so I'm not going to mention who they are. But at least since 1983 is when I realized what I was missing. And these individuals have been doing it for about the same length of time. And tomorrow afternoon, I'm already setting up what I'm going to do and just texted a compadre to spend from about noon 30 on, and it will be ours.
So let me get this straight. During football season, which we're in prime time now, while all of South Carolina is tied into college football, either in a stadium or in front of a television or on a radio watching, listening, you have no interest. You're out on the course. You got the links pretty much to yourself. Is that what you're telling us?
Well, exactly. Exactly. Now, it's not that I don't have interest, because I do. I'm very interested that the games are great. So great that it just keeps those golf courses wide open. So, and then there's things you can record these wonderful games on. And they've been around for even since, since I was young. Those recorders, they do a good job, and that's how I do it.
Yeah,
and then
you can always go back and watch, but, you only have so much daylight in which you can get out on the links and get it done.
That's exactly right. And the fall is absolutely the best time of year to play golf. The golf courses are mature. And most of, anymore with all of our agronomy specialists, they have all the tools. And we've had great weather for growing grass. So the golf courses absolutely are spectacular. Unless you have artificial turf like we do at the Scramble. We're going to talk about that. I went out this afternoon to get just in 35 minutes, I played 27 holes. Now back more on that. Actually, no, excuse me. It was only 24 holes. Sorry.
What'd you shoot? What did you shoot? Did you threaten my course record?
No, no. You're safe. But you can't. Nobody will ever break your course record, Phil. It's safe because there's nobody else in your age category and a radio or a journalist. So you're in that category, the elite category, Phil Kornblue.
But see, I don't want to be categorized. I want my score to stand for everybody. I don't want it to be that this is the record set by the first guy that played it because, he's this age and he does this. I want the course record.
Well, you do understand that George's boys could go over there and shatter whatever course record you set up, right?
I think Wesley already has.
Spot on. Yeah, spot on. First of all, but as we get deeper into this radio show, we do tend to grow. Our imaginations it's rampant. And, of course, you can have that course record, Phil.
Yeah.
Let
me ask you this real quick on a serious question about golf. As we transition from the hot summer months into now the cooler fall months, and I always find this kind of interesting from somebody who really, I never pay attention to the grass or what the grass is doing, which way it's growing, what kind of grass it is and all that. I'm just trying to find my ball and hit it out of the straw or get it off a root or something. But what happens to the grass as we transition here over the next couple of weeks? How will golf courses around the state from a grass standpoint change?
Well, right this minute, the Bermuda is still thriving, and it's hardy. It has been groomed for an entire season. So the cutting, the way they are trimmed, all the edges are nice. The greens are rolling, absolutely spectacular. Almost from course to course, it seems consistent and consistently good is at least what I've noticed around the Midlands and the other places that I've been, the Carolinas, and even other parts of the country. For whatever reason, just a spectacular season for weather and grass growing, all different kind of grasses. And we predominantly here in the Midlands, we have Bermuda and great Bermuda grass season. So we have had enough rain. So even in the parameters that the irrigation doesn't touch, the rough is right hardy too, which from what I've noticed, the rough here locally for the most part is playable. And that means it requires some skill to judge the distance, the kind of shot that's going to come out of that thick grass. In fact, I was out watching today, and I watched just an amazing shot. Let's see, it was Evans Lewis. I was watching a little game. Now, we're talking Evans Lewis, former USC Gamecock, Scott Stevens, let's see, Matt Atkins from Aiken, Wesley Bryan. I'm leaving somebody out. But anyway, I watched these guys. They played a game of wolf. And I watched an incredible shot by Evans Lewis on number 6. He hit about a 230 yard, 7, must have been a 7-iron out of the rough because the grass gets in between the ball. It was calculated, 240 yards, 230 yards with a 7-iron with a little old tiny chip swing. But the balls tend to fly out of that rough.
Now, what is a game of wolf for those of us who don't know? What is a game of wolf?
So there were 5 players in this particular format, and one player will have he will be the wolf, and they all tee off, and there are different expressions of wolf. In St. Louis, it was the first game that I was completely stripped clean of all the cash that I had. A bunch of guys that were very nice and kind, and I didn't understand why they were so happy and so heartful. And first of all, they were a little older, and they knew that I just played well the previous week. And back then, we actually got paid in cash. And they were so kind and sweet. They showed me to a brand new game called Wolf. And what you do is everybody tees off, but you have the chance to go alone. You can pick a partner. And today it was 5 players. So usually it'll be 2 on 3, and you play match play, and the game is set up per hole. And you can play marbles. So many marbles could represent what the stake is for each hole. And for example, in St. Louis back in 1985, we were playing for 10 skins a hole. And it doesn't seem like much, but when you carry over, and I didn't quite understand the ramifications of carryover at the time, but on about the 12th hole I did, because on the 13th I had no money left. That's a fact. But what happens in the Wolf? Let's say you and I and Patrick, Chris, and Smitty would go out and play. Let's say, Phil, you hit first. It's a par 3. The next player would go, say, I hit. You choose me or not. You got to make a decision right when I hit. Another expression is, I'd say the lighter, the easier, the kinder way is let everybody hit, and then you get to choose. But that's kind of soft. Usually you take right when the next player hits, you take the group on. And, for example, I did see a player day before yesterday in a Wolf game. It wasn't at this caliber, but wasn't the tour players, wasn't the mini tour players. I watched a guy grip it. That means hit it inside the grip on a par 3 after he hit. So he took on the rest of the guys right away. And now you go 1 on 4 if it's a fivesome, 1 on 3 if it's a foursome. And anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's a different format. There are different ways you can play the Wolf.
Yeah.
The one I just described is, one of the more traditional ways. But
sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Let me. We got college golf cranking up, George. The fall schedule, believe it or not, fall schedule of college golf is beginning in South Carolina with their new head coach. This is the men, their new head coach. They're playing in the Knoxville Collegiate in Loudon, Tennessee, the Tennessee National Golf Club. And after the first round, the Gamecocks sit in third place by themselves, 9 under par. LSU is 12 under, and Ole Miss is 11 under. And the Gamecocks are 6 ahead of fourth place Charlotte. And Tennessee is also in fourth place at 3 under, so they are 6 back of the Gamecocks sitting in third place. Individually, for South Carolina, if I can find their individual scores here, I'm not sure. This isn't giving me that. But it's not a bad start for the first event with their new coach. By the way, I see where his former team is playing in a tournament as well, and they're leading in the tournament they're in. I think it's actually at Purdue, so they're leading in their home tournament. But good start here for Coach Bradley and the Gamecocks, first time out for them playing in this tournament in Tennessee.
I did. I have run into him on several occasions and his Gamecocks. And I tell you what, he's although I'm just getting to know him, he definitely just has that passion for the game. And the minute you're in the presence of someone that does have that great appreciation, you just know. And he, one of his players, I have never even heard of this. And these holes, when I mention them, are really difficult coming in, especially from the back tees. But our state champion, Zach, let's see, he birdies 13, 14, eagles 15, birdies 16, 17, and 18 to play the last 7 holes. The last 6 holes, 7 under par. And Phil, I can't even imagine. It locks me up just thinking about that. We had him on just a couple of weeks ago, and what a delightful interview it was. and I just don't get that. Those holes were playing, they were the wrong way into the wind, and it is the best golf coming down the stretch that I've ever even come close to seeing. He absolutely lit it up. And then I did see the Gamecocks have a very strong team. And one of the best things about South Carolina is we have a number of great college programs in our state. And we have the Lady Gamecocks, which they're strong.
Yeah, they'll open up with they got the Annika coming up on Monday, so they'll be playing in the Annika on Monday. And you're right. I think they have both their biggest stars are back from last year. I did find the individual players here in this tournament. Nathan Franks for the Gamecocks shot 4 under par, so he leads them. But I got to mention this, Chris. You'll get a laugh out of this because this is something we laughed at in a different vein on the show last night. The leader, the first-round leader, is a guy by the name of Jake Peacock from USF. That's an inside joke from last night,
Is he
George.
enhanced Peacock out on the golf course?
Peacock, we were talking about Peacock, the streaming service, and Mike Morgan, I was telling him that I'd pay for Peacock, the streaming service, so I can watch the football game, and he referred to it as, well, I can't comment about your enhanced Peacock. So, and then I see a guy, and the leader of the tournament's name is Jake Peacock. So, I mean, that name, that word is just following me everywhere I go. We got Peacock in our face. But Nathan Franks, he's only 2 back. He shoots 4 under. Let me also mention, too, that had the Tiger Classic for the Clemson women at the Walker course. That was played about a week ago, August 26th. And tell you that, for those who aren't aware, Clemson finished in 3rd place in their own tournament. They finished even par. Georgia Southern won it at 5 under, and Campbell was next at 2 under, and the Clemson women came in 3rd at even par. So we'll see if any other South Carolina teams in the field. Upstate was 13th at plus 16, and Presbyterian was 16th out of 16 at plus 28. So, and we got, like I mentioned, the Anika's coming up. South Carolina, Clemson are both in that. And the Clemson men have a tournament coming up here soon. So we're going to be knee-deep in college golf here. The PGA Tour begins its fall season next week. So they get right back at it after the FedEx Championship at Eastlake last week. What'd you think of the end of that season, the way Scheffler finished up? I mean, if you had a vote, who would you vote as player of the year?
I mean, it's pretty awesome that Xander won a couple of majors. But the way it turned out, I think it's hands down for Scotty. And that's just my opinion, but the way he handled things, just the way he won that tournament was quite impressive. And you don't get a chance to see very often the player who is playing the best actually shank, and it was a beautiful shank on the 8th hole.
It was.
It was one of the most beautiful Hazel Rockets I have ever seen, and what an opportune time. What a lot of people don't realize is, so he shanks it there, and he goes over. That lie's pretty bare, and when I first saw it, I went, well, there's water out there to the right. He could shank this one into the water.
Yep. Because once you have a shank, all right, now in your mind, once you shank the ball like he did, and we've all done it, but I mean, that sticks in your mind, right? It's hard to close your mind to what you just did, and you might repeat it because you're thinking to myself, okay, don't do what I just did. And I find that whenever I tell myself before a swing, whenever I say, okay, don't do this, I end up doing it. So how do you mentally close that out?
Well, everybody's got, and by the way, we're losing listeners as we discuss and continue to use that word. It is one that literally will cause folks to shut down, and they will change that radio station in a heartbeat. When you hear that word, much less the shot.
Yeah.
So I call it a pitch out, a hosel rocket, and a flare. But hey, I can tell you that it is just a shot that is out there, and the way that first of all, I'll laugh because it's pretty funny, and I don't think I saw Scotty laughing. However, afterwards he did, and he did credit Ted for keeping his mind where it needed to be. So he hit that next shot, even though it wasn't a very good pitch shot on the next one. He did take care of his business. And what I thought is not just how he handled that particular hole in that shot. I thought Scotty Scheffler did a wonderful job with all the stuff that went on back in Louisville with the mishap as he was arrested before. And that's probably the only way he doesn't win that major championship, is that even though he played pretty good that day, I think it took it out of him for the next day. And but that the way he played his game this year, and he is on a roll. He's a fairly young guy, already won 13 times, and pretty impressive. I think he represents the game and the other players in a beautiful way, and it's at the right time. We've talked a lot about the split, this new tour that's out, the Live Tour, and then how everybody has acted and then reacted. And anyway, in the light of where golf is, I think he's a great ambassador for the game.
Real quick, if I may, George, while you just mentioned exactly what I want to ask you about. You mentioned the Live Tour, and so we've seen a few different iterations. I think it's usually on TNT of called like The Match, and typically it's maybe an NFL player and some NBA players, whatever. Well, it's been announced this week that now, during these just elongated negotiations between the PGA and Live, who knows what's ever going to actually happen there. In December, there's going to be one of those events, and this is going to feature Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy of the PGA Tour against Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, former rivals, now friends, I guess, of the Live Golf Tour. It looks like that will be taking place in December. Don't have the exact date yet, and will be in Las Vegas. What are your thoughts on this, along with the negotiations between the two tours?
Well, I've believed this from the very beginning, because the creator of the Live Initiative is Greg Norman, and he talked about a world tour. It goes back into the early 90s, where he presented this idea where the elite players just get together and play amongst themselves, which in his mind, it would be better entertainment for the mass. And he had it pegged even back then at about the number. In fact, I think it was a little smaller than the number that ends up. I guess the Live Tour now has roughly 60, 64 players, whatever it is. And back then, he presented at least what I remember as it being on the calendar from this time of year through January. And I think that's where it'll end up. I think the negotiations, by the way, I have no inside information on this, but hey, I do love the fact that the last week of the PGA Tour was this past Sunday, and now we can get into football season. I think golf needs a break, and then the Live season, I think, will begin to take flight in the months February or March, and then you pick back up with the tour, PGA Tour going March through August. That's plenty long for any season. I think that's about where it should shake out anyway.
George, you chuckled earlier when Phil asked if Scotty Scheffler was Player of the Year, and I understand. And then when you look at Xander Schauffele and what he was able to do in the majors, if you got a PGA Tour player in an honest moment, would he tell you he would rather win 2 majors or win the FedEx Championship?
Oh, no question. Two majors, but don't forget, Scotty did win one.
Right.
And
But I'm just what's more coveted to them?
$25
You would still think it's
million.
majors?
It'll be interesting. The players do vote for it, and I'm interested. You asked my opinion, and that's what I said. And Xander he's a player favorite too. Those two guys. I don't know either one of them really well, but they are very kind-hearted, very generous, and as fun to be around as anybody that I've ever known around the game. Everybody thinks the world of them. So, hey, that went quick, fellas.
Really quick.
And speaking of quick, the scramble went out and played 24 holes in 35 minutes. Tsunami Bar Sports is our sponsor. I appreciate the opportunity, man. Till next week. Tee 'em high, but shoot 'em low.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Pat. Great hearing from you. Thank you, Chris. Have a great weekend, everybody.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.